The story begins quietly, with a message that Kim Goon chose to share at a moment when no one expected anything significant to appear, a message simple in tone yet extraordinary in impact. Make sure to subscribe to stay connected as we explore moments that reveal deeper stories behind public lives. The message she posted carried a softness that drew instant attention, not because of the words themselves, but because of what they reflected, a life chapter that had remained completely private until now. She spoke about a journey that had been unfolding far from cameras and stages, one built on trust, mutual respect, and the kind of understanding that grows only through shared experiences. Her words described a presence in her life who had walked beside her across seasons of uncertainty and success. She wrote about learning to build a future with someone whose path had once seemed parallel to hers, crossing only through work, but eventually merging into something neither had anticipated. The tone suggested gratitude, steadiness, and a decision long in the making. People reading the message sensed that she wasn't speaking in metaphors or abstractions. There was a clarity in the way she expressed her commitment, a sense that this was not an announcement made suddenly but a reflection of a reality already established. What brought the message into sharper focus was the way she referenced the quiet promise they had made to protect what was meaningful. She explained that some chapters thrive best when they are allowed to grow without public evaluation. She acknowledged that privacy had not been about hiding but about preserving. The words were gentle, deliberate, and grounded in certainty. Shortly after her post appeared, attention began turning to Lemho, whose own message had appeared just days prior. His words spoke of partnership, shared decisions, and the comfort of building a life with someone who understood both the pressures and the joys of standing in the public eye. He described learning balance, discovering peace in companionship, and recognizing that the most important commitments are often the ones made far from spectacle. Readers of his message now viewed it through a different lens. It was clear that both voices were describing the same journey. Their paths had intersected years earlier during a demanding project, one that pushed both of them artistically and emotionally. Working side by side, they had developed mutual respect that eventually deepened into trust. That trust evolved into something neither of them had expected when they first stepped onto set. It wasn't sudden, and it wasn't dramatic. It was quiet, the kind of connection that grows steadily, strengthened by long conversations, shared challenges, and the understanding that comes from seeing each other beyond performances and public roles. In their messages, both hinted that the decision to build a life together unfolded gradually rather than through a single defining moment. They acknowledged the complexities of living under constant observation and the need to make choices that protected the authenticity of their connection. For them, privacy had not been avoidance but intention, a way to hold on to something sincere without letting it be shaped by external noise. They learned to keep certain aspects of their lives gently guarded, shared only among the closest people who understood their bond. Kim Goon referred to the feeling of stability that came from choosing a partner who valued sincerity over performance. She appreciated the way he listened, not as a public figure, but as a person committed to understanding her thoughts and hopes. She spoke of moments that grounded her, moments far removed from the spotlight, where everyday routines became meaningful because they were shared. She expressed appreciation for companionship built on ease rather than expectation. Lemho's earlier message echoed those sentiments. He described discovering that true partnership is not about grand gestures but about consistent presence. He reflected on the way they learned to navigate challenges together, balancing demanding careers with the need to remain connected. He mentioned finding joy in ordinary days, the ones without cameras or obligations, where life slowed down enough to recognize what mattered most. His words pointed to a commitment shaped by mutual choices rather than public attention. Together, their post created a larger picture, one of two people who had moved through the stages of connection with intention and care. The way they wrote suggested that their decision to formalize their commitment had been made some time ago, quietly and without spectacle. The message Kim Goon shared now served not as an announcement but as a calm acknowledgement of a chapter already well underway. It signaled a readiness to let the world understand, not through press releases or headlines, but through their own voices. Those who followed their careers could trace the subtle signs of their journey in retrospect. The way they supported each other's projects, the respect they expressed during interviews, the unspoken ease they displayed during joint appearances, and the rare but meaningful glimpses of mutual admiration all hinted at a bond deeper than professional collaboration. Now, through their own words, the shape of that connection had become clear. Kim Goon explained that choosing this path had involved courage, not because of uncertainty, but because of the desire to protect something precious from unnecessary judgment. She acknowledged that their lives would always be connected to public interest, but she also emphasized the importance of defining their relationship on their own terms. She shared that partnership meant sharing joys, responsibilities, and dreams while maintaining individuality. Her message reflected a balanced understanding of love that supports growth rather than overshadowing it. Lemho had expressed similar thoughts. He wrote about the strength that comes from building a foundation based on honesty and patience. He recognized that commitment is not a single moment but a continuous choice, reaffirmed through actions and understanding. His words carried the tone of someone who had found a companion who challenged him, encouraged him, and stood beside him without conditions. He spoke of building a home not defined by physical space but by shared intention. Together, their messages resonated because they conveyed maturity, sincerity, and a sense of peace. They suggested a relationship formed not through publicity but through genuine connection. The way they described their experiences showed that they had navigated their journey thoughtfully, valuing each other not as public figures but as partners building a shared life. The response from their supporters was a mixture of joy, admiration, and respect. Many appreciated the calm, grounded way they chose to share this part of their lives. Others reflected on how their partnership represented a model of genuine connection formed amid the pressures of a demanding industry. Their messages emphasized not the glamour of public attention but the beauty of private understanding, an approach that resonated deeply with audiences. As their words continue to spread, the focus remains on the simplicity with which they chose to communicate. No dramatics, no spectacle, only thoughtful reflection and quiet acknowledgement of a journey they had been nurturing together for a long time. They reached this point through smaller, quieter moments that revealed their connection long before either of them acknowledged it aloud. They learned each other's rhythms in ways that felt natural, noticing how comfort grew each time they shared long conversations after demanding schedules or exchanged thoughts about their hopes for the future. Their bond deepened through simple routines, the kind that didn't require planning or effort, just presence. If you want to stay updated as they continue moving through this chapter with the same grace and steadiness they've shown so far, make sure to stay connected and follow along for more stories that unfold with honesty and heart.